Hello, hello, hello. We are continuing. We started a new Torah, an incredible new Torah. We started Torah Zayin and Chelik Beis of Likutey Moharan. We're on second Chelik. So we got so far that the Rebbe starts and says that the main um, trait that a leader needs to have is Rahmanas. The real Rahmanas on the people he is leading. Did not lead for any ulterior motive except for that one. And the thing is that people, everybody who's running for office claims that he has Rahmanas for people. You know, as I said, I'm the one who's going to deliver you. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, look at me. Would I lie to you? And they make all the promises in the world, but the true Rahman is somebody that has true Rahmanas, and true Rahmanas, true compassion is whereas you have the benefit and the good of whoever it is that you're leading in mind, not for you, because you're very generous and you want to give and you want to. That's not your primary at all. The main thing is that you actually have Rahmanas on that person and or whoever it is you're leading. And that entails two things. First of all, you need to know who you can have Rahmanas for and who not. Because someone who is a murderer or a thief or having Rahmanas on him means that you're being cruel to somebody else who's going to be his next victim. The same thing, you need to know how to conduct yourself, what Rahmanas means for the specific person which you have the compassion for. Certain things means that sometimes you need to gauge what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're not doing, what's the right thing to give him, how much to give him, how much not to give him. And they ever used a muscle for a baby. You have to give milk a little bit, like 25 grams, each meal, whatever it is, 5 times a day, whatever. And and if you have Rahmanas on a grown up, you have to feed him. That which is. So you need to know who to have Rahmanas and who not. That's part of Rahmanas. Rahmanas is what to let slide and what to say. Listen, that's it. Up to here, the buck stops here, and that's it. You're not going anymore. So, and then we said that such a Rachaman, a true Rachaman, was Moshe Rabbeinu, and because Moshe Rabbeinu, his main purpose was to fill the world with human beings. I'm trying to set this thing, and I used to have this thing that I put this thing on, and it was in the car when they cleaned the car for Pesach. And right, okay, it's no longer there. So such a Rachamim is Moshe Rabbeinu, and the main and Moshe Rabbeinu was Moshe Nefesh, completely gave himself over. He didn't care, didn't look at himself. He was willing to give everything for Israel. Moshe Oyev Israel. They said in the Medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu said that Kadosh Baruch Hu said that he wanted to, after the Chet HaEgel, he wanted to, I wanted to Chas v'Chalila be angry, to the full extent with Am Yisrael. And so he said to Moshe Rabbeinu, just let me finish them off, and I will start a new Am Yisrael from you. You're going to be the father of the nation. Moshe Rabbeinu did not listen. The Medrash says a very strong lashon. It says, Moshe Rabbeinu gave himself over. It says, if you don't forgive them, wipe me off from the Torah. Just don't mention me in the Torah. And the Medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu said, may Moshe be lost and 1,000 like him, and the hair of Am Yisrael should not be harmed. That's the lashon of the Medrash. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, it's better that Moshe will be Chas v'Chalila annihilated, and 1,000 like him, and not a hair of Am Yisrael, of anybody from Yisrael, should be harmed. And this is the extent of the ahava, of the rachmanis that Moshe Rabbeinu had for everyone from Israel. And the main inyan is to fill the land with human beings. Human beings is people who know that Hashem is looking. Hashem is the one who, everything that happens is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. As the Rambam says, did, does, and will do everything, that is being done, or will be done, or ever was done. Rachmi, Gashmis, Ruchnis, everything. Anybody who is not that, who doesn't have that das, that kind of seichel, this kind of sense, the Rebbe says he's not a human being. He's just an animal in human form. All we need to do is just open up a newspaper and you can see plenty of that, right? Anyhow.
He doesn't have das of Hashem?
Yeah, if he doesn't know Hashem, so basically, it's the body of a human and the intellect of a human, everything else. But it's just, it's a very sophisticated animal. That's all it is.
Like Masorti people, they know Hashem, but they're just not like.
So each one, according to how much das he has, this is how much of a human he is. It's not black and white.
No, they have all the das, they just don't.
No, they have the intellect. They have the main thing that we need to know, that we spoke about it the last time, is it's not enough just to know, basically. They call the Hebrew, it's called begadol, like generally, in essence, in principle. The main thing is, Baruch Hashem, we have emunah. Many people have emunah. But the thing that differs between one person and the next is how much emunah, how much a person believes in quote unquote in what he believes. Some people I basically believe in that. Okay, there's Hashem, they control the land, everything is that. Now let me go. Okay, leave me alone. How much do you believe in what you believe?
But isn't the saying that there's a mile of being the Peshutim and
I'm talking about how much you believe in what you believe. I didn't say how much you know, how sophisticated your emunah is. I didn't say that. I said how much you believe what you believe.
Like that.
I said that, but what does it mean, Pshutim? Pshutim means like, what does it mean, Pshutim?
They don't have the greatest das for all the things in the
Torah. But what is it?
They have the
this is the idea. This is something I'm talking about emunah. I'm specifically saying how much you believe. Yeah, they believe, but how much do they believe what they believe, what they claim to believe? They know basically, but the level between people is how much they actually believe, how committed you, how much you believe in it. The more you believe in it, the more real it is for you. The more real it is for you, the more you go up and you do what you need to do. I mean, this week, by the way, this year is dedicated to the memory of Reb Nosson Reb Tzvi Liebermensch, that passed away this week. And Mr. Leibovich was definitely a big bardas and everything else. He was a tzaddik and at the same time, he was this as simple as you can say. What does it mean he was as simple as you can get? The thing is that he didn't look at anything. You know, people agreed with him, people didn't agree with him, people this, people that. He knew this is what the truth is, this is what he does, and 100%. So when there used to be the kibbutz used to be in Mea Shearim, so when he was the one who arranged, he arranged it, and for the food and the this and the that and sleeping quarters, he took care of everything. And the Shimon Teichner, who was one of his Talmidim, at one time, and Nosson told him, there's no such thing that somebody will come. There's nobody that comes to the kibbutz that doesn't have a bed. He arranged everybody should have a bed. So Shimon Teichner told him, "Oh, but there is somebody who doesn't have a bed." He said, "Who?" He says, "You." In his room over there, he had a blanket on the floor with a pillow. That's it. And a friend of mine, Nachum Rosenberg from America, as a bocher, he came to Eretz Yisrael, and he came to Kol Breslov, and so I should ask him, where are you sleeping? Where are you? He says he doesn't know yet. He says, "Come sleep by me." His house, he had a 2-room house, and the floors of his house were filled with mattresses. His kids slept, whatever. And it was on the floor. He says, "Here, there's a bed here for you. You sleep here, whatever it is." So the next day, somebody met him and said, "Where do you sleep?" He said, "But I'm not living." He says, "No, he doesn't have room for you." "What's your room for me? I slept before he gave me a bed." He says, "Yeah, he gave you his bed. He went to the mikveh. He slept on a bench in the mikveh where it was warm." So after you would arrange the kibbutz, whatever it is, so his son told me by the shiva that at one time when they finished arranging the kibbutz and everything, and everybody ate and drank, and and everybody left. Everything was clean. Everything was left the way it was supposed to, and so he said him and 2 other brothers, plus another kid that the took care of. I don't know what the story was. He says he took him by the hand, and they walked all the way from Mea Shearim to Chometz Bar Ilan, for the bus. And says when he got there to the bus, he didn't have money for the bus fare. He took care of everything, of everybody, but he himself didn't have money for the bus. I didn't ask him, "So how did you get to Bnei Brak?" I didn't ask him that. "Oh, okay." But he says, "Lamas, he didn't have He says at a certain time he never had any money. Then somebody gave him money, and he was very methodically. He was very orderly, whatever it is, and he kept the records of everything, and he wrote lists and whatever it is. He was very, very 100% methodic. At a certain time, somebody gave him money, and he opened the gmach. Gave loan, free loan society. He opened the gmach. He said it didn't last long. But people took loans. It didn't pay back. He never, pursued it. Never. Okay. But nevertheless, he was very. He was one of the more. He was very rigid, and he had 0 talmidim. Everybody was his talmid, but none of them actually. He was never a rebbe. He was never himself, into nothing. That shot Pashut. He had a big das. He had big seichel. But everything he did was Pashut. No fame, no, so he's giving, he gave shurim and everything, whatever it is. But Talmidim, none. No, nobody. There was no entourage. There's no party. There's no. Just Gonish mit nicht. That means pshitas and tmimas. Doesn't mean that you have to be done. And he knew exactly what it was. And I just remembered it was a sikha that I wanted to hear from him, but I never got, and I wanted to go and meet him and ask him that, and I never got a chance to do it. What happened was, I was told, I was in Oman, it must have been 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and there was a Bachar, La Aleinu V'La Aleichem, that had Yene Maisa, had Yene Maisa, had a disastrous disease. It was like a Bachar, was a young Bachar, was 16, 17, whatever. So Reb Nosson came to him, and he said as follows. This is listen to the to the T. He said, about your illness, without Hashem you'll have refuah. But if not, so the whole sikha, what do you do if not? How to conduct yourself? That's a Nosson Libanese. That's pshitas and tmimas. And the Bacha said that this sikha gave him more chizuk than everybody says, yeah, be beseder, this and that, go to this one down. He says that thing, that realistic pshitas and tmimas. Look,
even if you don't get better, this is how you can.
And he told him what to do. I actually wanted to hear this sikha. I never got a chance to actually go to him and hear from him what he told him, because it's a very important thing to know, But this was him. That's what Nosson Liber meant. On the other hand, he was very inflexible. He didn't care anybody's opinion. If it's, if it was not according to his hashkaf or whatever it is, straight. No, no deviation from what he thought is right, and this is it. And very undiplomatic, very, just that's the way it is, finished. He worked in a bank in Bampagi in Bnei Brak at the time. He came to work in the bank, the clerk, whatever it is. That was for a while. So the first thing he did was fix the tznius in Yonim in the bank, where the women sit, where the men sit. There was separation between them. That was that was him. Pshitas and tmimas. This is what it means. It doesn't mean to be a simpleton. It doesn't mean to be, it means to behave, as they say in Breslov, it's not simple to be simple. Because we are so filled with affectations and interests and this and that, or on character, he was principled. He was straight. This was his thing. Rabbi Yakimir Shechter came to pay to a shiva call here in Kiryat Charedit. How Rabbi Yakimir went up 3 stairs, I have no idea. But he's over 90, Kenanahar. He's mid-90s, and 3 floors. He walked up. Okay. But he went for those limits. He went to pay the shiva call. Anyhow, so this learning is dedicated for his memory. By the way, years ago, when Reb Levi Yitzchok Zatzal passed away, so one of the tzaddikim of Hanash said, anybody who will ask, I told you the story, what happened, who will ask with the schus of Reb Levi Yitzchok during these 30 days, he'll get what he wants. And I told you the story, so now I don't want to deviate from that now again. But I'm telling you now, during the 30 days from the Ptira of Nosson Liebermensch, it's an Indian daven with his schus. Schus of Reb Nosson ben Zev Liebermensch, ask whatever it is you need. It was that important. Okay, so on we go. So anybody that doesn't have a das, a das, a das, the Rav Nosson once asked Rabbeinu a similar question to what you're asking. They say Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Zohar says Kadosh Baruch Hu gives chachma to the wise. He gives wisdom to the wise. So Rav Nosson asked, no, so what was somebody who was foolish? What are you supposed to do? And he said, he's stupid. What are you supposed to do? So Nosson says this kind of wisdom. The Rabbeinu says this kind of wisdom that the Zohar talks about, that you have this wisdom because God gives you more. Every Yid has. What's that wisdom? Hashem Elokim. And the clock is ticking. When you have this is called Das Amiti. When you have Das Amiti, okay, now the question is how much do you believe in it? Do you believe in it enough to dispel the stardust of this world, of Esav? Yeah, but in the meantime, there's no meantime.
Maybe the simpleton might have more dust than
That's the das. That's the das. But nevertheless, as Rabbeinu says, because of lo amaris kasid. It says somebody who's an amar, he can be a tzaddik. Because tzidkis is shmir sabris. The guarding of the covenant. The moral impurity. Has to be, stay away from this. The main thing in Pesach is that. Is shmir sabris. Is being sanctify one's bris kodesh, and obviously it begins with the machshava. Machshava is that this is now we're going to have 7 days of Pesach where there'll be no chometz, none, not even a smidgen, masho, and this is what's Pesach. So the people come out of Mitzrayim. Am Yisrael came out of Egypt. And this is analogous to each and every one of us, because from us to get from where we are now to the next step is coming out of Mitzrayim. So in the very beginning, when you're coming out, when Yaakov Avinu ran away from Lavan, he didn't tell him, listen, I'm leaving. He didn't tell him, just, you come out of the mud, just go. Just go. Ben said that just 1 second.
That's a hat.
Baruch Hashem. Never said if somebody is standing in quicksand, in mud, what should he do? Not quicksand, but in a swamp or whatever it is. What do you do? In mud, I'm talking about especially spiritually. It says, well, you lift one leg and you put it down. Then you lift out the leg and you put it down. And then you lift the first leg and you put it down. And then the second leg and you put it down. And he says, you keep on doing it. It looks like you're not doing anything. But you keep on doing it, you're going to get out of the mud. The same thing is, now, Mitzrayim, getting out of Tumas Mitzrayim, in Teshar Tuma, the 49 gates of defilement, getting out. So the first, the 8 days that we come out of Mitzrayim, there cannot be any chometz. Chometz is Merchant de Katnos, is the Zohar says, anybody that throws crumbs of bread, so poverty chases them. And in other words, if a person is not appreciative, somebody who is poor in his mind, when he has a little money, he's rich. The next moment, he's poor, doesn't have anything left. A rich person, wealth comes from the mind. He has money, it doesn't mean he has money. What do I have to spend? What are my bills? What is it supposed to be? What am I going to do with it? And parted it out. I can just make sure that more money comes in, the money goes out, and this is how you become wealthy. But a poor person cannot stand the thought of having. It's just the embarrassment of riches. So he can't stand it because in his mind he's poor. Okay, now he has money. So what are you going to do with the money? Before you know, the money is gone. The day that the poor person has money, he's rich. The next day he's poor. So the Zohar says that somebody who throws away crumbs of bread. We're talking about perurim. So we're talking about perurim, good of kazais. This is the. But nevertheless, so the Zohar says, how much more so? Poverty, chases somebody who is spilling pirura de moicha, crumbs of mind, which is gamabris. So this is so the chometz represents, gamabris. Matzah, there's zero schwitz, zero show in matzah. It's just water and flour, and that's it. There's no salt, and bread. You give a little yeast, you wait, it rises, you beat it down, you cover it up, it rises, you beat it down, and this, you do this, you do that, whatever. You schmidt with eggs, the whole shebang. There's a whole show going around. This is what bread is. When we are coming out of our Mitzrayim, we can now allow even for a crumb of chometz, nothing. And it's the main thing is in the machshava. The minute that the person's machshava, some kind of a licentious or anesthetic thought come to a person's mind, you push it out. And getting rid of chometz in the house before Pesach is a sgula for things to be easier for you, to push the kind of thoughts that you need not to have, to push them out of your mind. Now you would say, okay, I'm saying, maybe, young people, but okay, so they have a problem there, but, people older, they shouldn't have any problem with it. I have news for you. It's a problem that never leaves if you live to be 236 years old. It doesn't matter. You can do something about it. You can't do something about it. Forget about it. It doesn't make a difference. It's a challenge all the way until the end. And the main thing is that when it comes in, you go out. You push it out. How much more so that stay away from things they're going to bring you to it. I'm just going to look at this. What's going to happen? The women is, I'm not looking. I'm looking. Okay. No. What did they do? I started talking with them. Don't do it. Just don't do it. This is what Pesach is about. The 8 days, no chometz, only matzah. Matzah is pshitas and tmimis. That's what matzah is called refuah. The Beda says saying the Agoda out loud is tikkun abris. The Beda says matzazu. He says that the shmis abris is this matzah. The matzah in your hand. The matzah is shmis abris. This is what Pesach is all about. Because ultimately, the biggest test that the person has in his life, how much do you believe what you believe? Isn't that thing? You believe that you're supposed to be careful about these things. I mean, come on, yeah? How much do you believe that? The more you believe that, the more careful you're going to be. The more you talk the talk, but you don't actually, okay, just talk. It's like this is how much, people have problems with this. It's not an easy thing. That's pshat, to have a person who has a das. That the world will be filled with people who have das. Das means Hashem Elokim. Das means that you need to believe in what you pertain that you believe, what you claim you believe in. You believe for diamond. Every year has a spark of emunah in it. You know, I have a cousin that he lives in Ramat Gan, reading Tinuk Shanishba from to the nth degree. So, as I told you, what happened with his brother, with the tefillin, whatever it is. So I got him a pair of tefillin. So he told me, I want to tell you something, but you have to promise me not to tell anybody else about it. I'm not telling you his name, so you don't know who it is, okay? So what happened? He said they have an old dog in the house, and they have a cat, a relatively new cat. They had an older cat that died. Everybody grieved. Okay, they have a new cat. They have a new cat in the house, and the cat is new, so he was never out. No, there was a siren, and the cat went out. They didn't pay attention. The cat went out the second floor. The cat went out, and they were totally distraught. And he said, he put on the tefillin, and he asked Kodesh Baruch Hu, that, to find the cat. Where are you going to find the cat? To find the cat. He says, we came home from the miklat, from the shelter, and the cat was waiting by the door. Okay. That's by him is a big asoga. You ask, what should I tell him? He said, that's what emunah is. I said, I told him, ask more and more and more and more. Everything that you need. Well, he has Parkinson's. He's battling this for over almost 20 years with tremendous force, tremendous bravery. Ask for everything, not just the cat should come home. But nevertheless, it's just like how much do you believe what you believe? And you should know that the Das Amiti that Moshe Rabbeinu is putting into people is that every single thing that you do, every single time that you put on film, every single time that you turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you ask him for the cat to come home, okay, is incredibly precious to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's endlessly precious to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not just how much do you believe in it. Of course we believe in it. Come on, we're best of us, right? But how much do we believe in what we believe? The more we believe in it, the more precious every bracha is, right? The more we believe in what we believe, the less chances we take with seeing things we shouldn't, thinking things we shouldn't, saying things we shouldn't, doing things we shouldn't. This is all the B'chinas Pesach. Pesach is you go, you look for the Chometz, getting rid of it. Nothing, zero. You're looking everywhere. Regarding all the Chumras and everything else, Rabbeinu says, before Likutey Moharan, Chumras, you don't need, stringency, extra stringency, and tzich and klal. You don't need it at all. Rabbeinu says, even Pesach, you don't need it. It's a minhag, a lot of, Chassidish and Litvish and whatever it is. They're knowing this chumrah, that chumrah, whatever. They're doing, taking all the books and airing out all the books. And you didn't touch the sefer from last year. And the chinamis, sefer that you learn, you have to open it, you have to check it. But what happens in your Sforim Shak, you didn't touch. And put an arid by the balcony. There's no need for that. Dust is not chometz.
Tell the wife that.
I'm saying I understand that. Dust is not chometz. There's no need. There's no need for chometz. But halacha is halacha. And without asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu to save us Mashu Chometz. A human being cannot be reprieved, from failing on, with Chometz on Pesach. Without Siyata Dishmaya, no way. The Rebbe says you have to ask it, and the Likutey Tfilas, he says, that the boss of Adam, a human being, a flesh and blood, cannot possibly, be nizer, from something Chometz. It's about the Isa is Masha, it's Mamish, it's a. So you have to ask Hakadosh Baruch Hu. You know that? That's Das meeting. That's the kind of people that Moshe Rabbeinu feels his mission was to fill the world with people with Das meeting. That's Das meeting. And Rabbeinu says in Siman Gimel, Yikar Rachman Asuk Yisrael Am Kadosh. What is the main Rachmanis? The main Rachmanis is when Am Yisrael fall into Averis. Chas v'chalilah. The Rabbeinu says, "Ki zeu Rachmanis agodol mikom min Rachmanis." That's a heartbreaker. That's greater than all the heartbreakers, all the heartbreakers. Sins, falling to Averis. When Am Yisrael fall into Averis, into sins, this is the biggest Rachmanis there is. Somebody la'aleinu la'alechem is ill la'aleinu, and somebody is very poor. You can give him food, whatever it is. But when somebody falls into Averis, it's the biggest Rachmanis there is. Because whenever it has to do with money, yeah, the commonest of all human ailments. Where's the money, right? Obviously, the big Indian take care of people who don't have, give them. But ultimately, the biggest Rachmanos of all is when Am Yisrael, Am Kodesh, are falling into Averis. Because Am Yisrael, the thing is, we are looking at the body. But Am Yisrael, the neshama of a Yid, is chelek kolakam yamal mamish. The neshama of every Jew emanates from Kisa Koved. Kisa Koved, the throne of glory, Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's the top ceiling of Olam Abriya. That's it. Beyond that is the realm of Atzilus. There's no creations in that Atzilus. It's only Kodesh Baruch Hu alone. The Bria, this is where it starts. Afterwards, that the Malachim, they have angels, there's Malachim, Srafi, or Yifanim, whatever it is that comes afterwards. The top of the Bria is Kisa Koved. Nishmas Yisrael are part of Kisa Koved. It's a locus at the highest level imaginable of anything created, any creation. Nothing created can be any higher than Kisa Koved. As we said many times before, Kisa Koved is the spacecraft. La'asid Lavo will be able to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu with all His glory without becoming extinct automatically. Zabino, Olam Abriya, Kisa Koved. So you're talking about the highest of all creation. When it falls into Averis don't belong to them. Averis belong to Esav, to Ishmael. It doesn't belong to Jews. Because he says, and Rabbeinu says as follows: the hardest law lechem, the hardest yisurim, suffering in the world. Einam nechshavim klal. They don't register. They don't move the needle, even an iota. Vis-a-vis the great weight, the impossible weight of Averis Chas v'Shalom. Israel naflim ba'avonis chas v'shalom when Am Yisrael chas v'chalim falls into Averus. Says Rabbi, is a masoi kaved meod. It's an impossible burden. Impossible. It's not possible to carry such a load. It says, "B'fchinos," as it says, as Kavanoiser over Rosh Tehillim, it says, "My transgressions have passed over my head." It says, "Kemasa kavod yichbedu mimeni." They are beyond my strength, like an unimaginable burden. And then Rabbeinu says, "Kimishi yodei kedushas Yisrael." Anybody that has any notion of the sacredness of Am Yisrael, the sanctity of Am Yisrael, and where they're taken from, where they emanate from. Kisei Kavod. It's the highest level of creation that there is. You know the spirituality and the sensitivity of the constitution of the Ruch of Am Yisrael, of what an Neshama of a Yid is. Who you're there, somebody who knows that, he knows Yisrael Chokim Legamri Olam. Am Yisrael is diametrically opposed from what sin is. They're totally, it's night and day. They totally have nothing to do with that. In Averus, any kind of Averus does not belong to them at all. Vis-a-vis the greatness of their sanctity, of their holiness, from their root, from where they stand, and the greatness of their spirituality and delicateness of essence. That's why all the tortures, all the suffering in the world, chas v'sholom, they're not considered a burden at all when weighed vis-a-vis the incredible burden of Averes chas v'sholom. Chmol etzlan. And the Rebbe says, even afilu sheyesh lo odam yisurim, even when a person has mamash yisurim, he's suffering. Chas v'sholom. Im en be'em avoinus, if it's not something that comes out of sin. And they're not considered to be suffering at all. Chazal said, Sechas Shabbos, there's no such thing as suffering without a transgression, without a sin. When they don't, there's no sin in it. He says, any surim below. What do you mean there's no suffering without sin? There definitely is suffering, that comes upon people without sins. Yisurim shalahava, suffering of love, and if Kodesh Baruch Hu loves somebody, wants to cleanse him out in this world, he doesn't go to the next world with Averis. So Chazal said, what's the definition of Yisurim shalahava, of torment, of love? He says, she'en ben bitul ter, she'en ben bitul tefillah. When this kind of suffering does not keep a person from learning or from davening, Never said it's not Yisurim. It's not called Yisurim. If there is, it's suffering, but it's Yisurim Shalahavo. But Yisurim that keep a person from learning and from davening, it's not. There's no such thing as Yisurim without oven, without sin. He says if there's no sin in them, it's not Yisurim B'chlam. It's only for his good. Ikar Yisurim, the main suffering is when a person falls into various Rachmanis v'Shalom. The Ikar Rachmanis. This is the essence of having Rachmanis on Jews. The Racham Yisrael Am Kodesh, to have Rachmanis, to have compassion for Am Yisrael, a holy nation. To get them out from the impossible burden of sins and transgression. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu, all of us, any time that Am Yisrael would fall into any kind of transgression, any kind of sin, he would mamish sacrifice himself for them, like the and he davened for them, like in the, with the Meraglim, with the spy, when the Eretz Yisrael, with the Egel. Why? I mean, listen, they sinned. I mean, let them pay the price. You do the crime, you do the time. Well, it's a Moshe Rabbeinu had such rachmanis on them. They fell into the Avodah Zarah, the Egel Azor, and the Meraglim. Moshe Rabbeinu gave himself over. He says, "Scrape me from your book, from the Torah, if you don't forgive them." Why? Ki Yoda, because Moshe Rabbeinu knew vis-a-vis the sanctity, the holiness of Israel, and the sensitive nature of their true essence, and they're far away, they're much opposed from sin. They cannot possibly carry the heavy burden of sin. That's why that. Ubemet says okay, so that's fine. Where does the Avera come from? Why does a person come to Avera? This is only when a person has no das. Das amiti, true das. When the person doesn't really believe what he believes. It's ein adam over avera, says Rabbeinu brings the Chazal, Masechet Soito. A person doesn't do avera elim kenichas beruach shtus. He's not infused with the spirit of folly. This rachmanis is greater than all the rachmanis that there is. Shetzrichim, lerachem aleim, lachnis bodas. You need to have rachmanis on a person, put das into him. B'chinas asher maskil al dal. It's fortunate somebody who's maskil al dal, who gives das, gives seichel, maskil al dal, somebody who's poor. So maskil al dal, somebody is poor, give him money. Maskil al dal, give him seichel. I cannot give him seichel. I can go to the grocery and buy something with it. It says asher maskil al dal. Fortunate is the one who gives seichel, who teaches seichel, das amiti, to the impoverished. Why? Because ein oni elamina das. There's no poverty in the world except the poverty from the das. V'tzrichim lerachem alav, and you have to rachmanis on him, v'lachnis bo das, and to insert and put das into him. That's the only true das that there is. That's the only true rachmanis that there is. And the true das is that's the reason why we're close to Rabbeinu, we're close to Tzaddikim, why we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we come, we daven, we make hisbodedus, whatever it is that we do. We cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu because there's no such thing as a burden that is heavier than the masa of avodas, of sin. There's no such thing. That's it. Yeah. Well, that's a little bit quiet. Then, I don't remember the last sentence. We're going into Pesach. Matzah is das. Matzah is das. Matzah is called asr. It's called lechem oini. You say, lechem oini, what does it mean? A poor man's bread? No, so lechem oini is because we eat it by the Haggadah, by Pesach, by the Seder. When we're laying the Haggadah, Chazal says, what's called lechem oini? Lechem she'oinim alav dvorim harbe. It's a lechem, it's a bread that you say many things upon it. It's the entire Haggadah on it. This is lechem oini. The entire Haggadah is built upon Hashem Eskil Dali. What did it start with? It starts with Manishtana. The children are supposed to ask Manishtana, why this night so different? And they ask him all these. They ask these questions. In other words, here comes the ultimate poor. Somebody has no das, and he starts with the question, Manishtana, this, and what's the answer? If you notice that there is no answer. He says, why we eat like this and we're doing like this? Why we drink 4 cups, we're doing 4 cups? Why we drink Chometz, other nights we eat Chometz and matzah, it's only matzah. There's no single place where we say that what the answer is. Well, the answer is Avodah Ma'in Par Mitzrayim. Who took us out of there. Yad Chazoko. That's the truth. That's the essence of Israel. Not to say, that's not what it's about. And Achinami, after the 8 days that you run out of Yam Suf, you run out of this is big das, then comes a time that you can eat Chometz. Not only can, you should eat Chometz. You know, the day right after Pesach, we bring the Omer Seorim. So we counted because they cut the sheaves of Seorim to bring a mincha in the Samikdash, and it's a mitzvah to do it even on Shabbos. And the way it's done, and so forth and so on. But the thing is that while Yidden are allowed to eat Chometz after Pesach, in Beis Hamikdash they would not sacrifice, they would not bring any menoches from Chometz until Shavuos. Or Tvua Chadosha, from the until only on by Shavuos you bring 2 loaves of challah of Chometz, then the Tvua Chadosha is mutter in the Mikdash, in the Beis Hamikdash. Obviously, I can already eat from the Omer. They can already eat Chagosh, no problem. Beis Hamikdash, there is an Indian in Chometz. Chometz means that you stop, that you ponder things, you think things through. Wait, but that's once you're out of deep water, you're out of Yam Suf. When you're coming out of Mitzrayim, there's no time. Don't ponder anything, just run. When machshavas come to a person's head, thoughts that you should not have, run. No, it's a shtus. I should have this. Run. After 8 days of eating matzah, then we can start. Then we can start. Once you're already out of the woods, as it were, now it's a mitzvah. You can eat chometz, ponder, look at things, and get into depth. And remember, the Rebbe will talk about it. I spoke to Shimon Teichner, after the Shiva call of Nosson Lieberman, and I told him the one thing that I could never get into my head is that he used to force the issue in Avodas Hashem non-stop. He never, just coasted. Okay, now. Yeah.
What's the issue?
Davening bekoyach, learning bekoyach, mitzvahs bekoyach, everything, it was the force, more force, and more yagir, and more to this. Listen, okay, all right, okay. You got to the top, now you're coming down. Put the car in neutral and just coast. No such thing, man. No coasting. Everything came with hardware. I remember when I lived in Bnei one time that I had a chavrusa with Rav Nachman Galinsky, Zechat Tzadik Livrocha, we would come to wake each other, and we'd go to the mikveh. Then we put our tefillin in the breast of the koilel over there. And then we'd go, it used to be where today is already built up, it used to be an orchard, an orange grove, whatever. And so we used to go to Bim under the trees, make his way to this. And then go to Daven Vasikin. And one night we came there, and there was light inside the Besmedrash. It was small inside the rest of the koilel was small. So we didn't know who was there in the middle of the night. I mean, it was like a so. And the window was open just a little bit. So we crossed over and we took a look. And there's Sefer Nosson Lieberman. And his face was red like a beet. And he was full force ahead. Like closer to getting alone Bezat Hashem. I have Yeshua's B'schusay. Rabbeinu HaKodesh, Bezat Hashem. Next time we will meet him, Yetz Hashem will be already in Tisha Moshe Yontiv, right?
Thursday after Yom Tov, we won't?
It's not on Yontiv. It's noch Yontiv. It's
It might be past 3 o'clock. I don't know what time.
it's what?
Buckets.
No, it's moving tonight. So what time is it going to be?
I was sending. That's 6.
How much? When is it going to end this week?
7:25, 7:30.
7:30. So what do you want? 8:15, 8:30?
8:30.
8:30? Rabbi Wise, 8:30? Next week, yeah, next Thursday. So I want to wish you and me and all of Am Yisrael Chag Kosher Sameach, Chag Sameach, Kosher v'Sameach. That Hashem will see great Yeshuas. Kol Tuv Sela, Kol Tuv.
Came here at some.